Alrighty, so welcome everyone to the Adelaide Microsoft IT Community Meetup for April 2024. I'm Andrew Young, your host. We're no longer joined by Brett Moffat. He's pretty busy these days, so unfortunately he'll be stepping back from his hosting roles. Keep an eye out, we may have a bit of help from someone just outside if he decides to come in. Not working.
Well, your clicker's not working?
No.
All right, use the mouse.
It's okay. All right. You can barely make him out there. Adam might come back to help us. If you know in the past, Adam did co-host this user group. So yeah, a bit of assistance would be nice. But I think it's also a call for help, I guess, with the Azure user group. So if anyone is good with Azure or knows someone that's good with Azure, reach out to someone here at Microsoft or one of the user group leads, and
Will help support.
yeah, we're pushing forward. Cool. Just do a quick acknowledge that we meet on the lands of the Kaurna people, and we pay respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Quick housekeeping. If you haven't found it, the front door. If you head out there, second right, all the way down, toilets there, and the emergency exit. If you just come out here on the right of the elevators, take the stairwell down. You've assembled down there on High Square, south end of it anyway. There's my details. Recent security MVP. Find me on LinkedIn, blogs, videos, etc. Guys take photos.
I like the logo.
Pay some guy on Fiverr to make that for me before ChatGPT and Designer were a thing. So yeah, what a time to be alive. Cool. So generally I'd start these off with a bit of what's new, what's coming and all that jazz, and then we'll go into the main topic with our guest speakers. So go straight into it. If you were here last Wednesday, you probably attended Daniel's Microsoft Copilot user group. You probably already covered these, but we'll go through it again just because. So the Microsoft Copilot for Security is available as of last week. This is big game changer. It also is big on the compute and the pricing. So it is measured with what's called a security compute unit. All right, and you need to have an existing Azure subscription to run that off of. As part of this, if you've got access to this, you'll have access to the public preview of Copilot for Intune. So that's also important to note. There'll be a setup page on, the link is copilot.security or something, security.copilot.com. But you'll get that screen there where you can set it up. Alternatively, you can go to the Azure portal and you can do it that way as well if you're more familiar with the approach. It is recommended that you have 3 SCUs to start off with. It could be overkill, might not be, but you can kind of track your usage through their internal graphs, and you can see kind of when they've pushed those cores a bit when they're doing their security analytics. And just a quick overview, it's roughly $6 Australian per hour per SCU, and that's it's only available in Australia East. So is what it is. And there is a update to the Azure calculator, so you can do, so for example, 3 compute units, you non-stop 24 hours for 30 days. It's kind of that price, but I imagine you will hit that because you're not going to be using it 24/7. It's really, when there's an instance or scheduled kind of report you want to run, it'll use a little bit of compute. And so I hope it isn't anywhere near as expensive as that. Cool. And then, there was a cheeky rebrand. So Microsoft 365 Defender is now known as Microsoft Defender XDR, standing for Extended. This works on top of EDR, which is Endpoint Detection and Response. So this covers more than just your endpoint devices. It's stuff in Office 365, Exchange Online, SharePoint, Teams, Cloud App Security, and all that stuff as well. very comprehensive. This new Copilot for Security, there's now Learn Live sessions. I'll have links for the YouTube videos, the learning paths on Microsoft Learn. Earlier, yes, Copilot for Intune is public preview, so long as you've got Security Copilot. We had Siddharth from Microsoft last month, just give us a quick rundown on what it can do. There's just a few images here on getting your embedded Copilot thing in the right-hand side there. So just suggested prompts you can give it. You can inquire about certain device health statuses, compliance, and all that. Asking it what kind of policies you have in place and what they do, and just kind of what your settings do per policy. So if you're unsure of what these settings mean, you can go through and build your policies with the help of Copilot. And what skip. Case, yeah, you can get it to pump out the reports. So in an Excel kind of table, you can go, what devices has this user got, what groups are a member of, and it'll run through all of your tenants and find all the information regarding that user, and you can go from there. So Microsoft 365 or modern work, we had the new planner come into general availability, rolling out to a tenant near you. This is only available through the Planner for Teams access at the moment, I think. Web. Okay. Web and desktop apps, yep. So you've got a new logo. I think they got some inspiration from the old To-Do logo. You still got a tick happening there. They've kept the blue, purple, and purple that they had in the preview. So the preview had the P still. It just went from green to purple, and now you've got a tick. Sweet.
Yeah, nice. Love it.
Really good. Some good information there. The other caveats are if you had a project for the Web Plan 1 license, you get access to Planner 1. So you have some features that were in project coming into Planner, and I imagine there'll be more extensive licensing changes. The Plan 3 and 5 for project won't change, but they will introduce some new licenses. So you'll start getting blown Gantt charts and other things cropping up in Planner. And next, we've got the Copilot dashboard is actually generally available. I thought this is what it was, but I guess not. So this is used for when you're bringing in resources for Copilot for Microsoft 365. So it checks your readiness across your tenant. Have you got the right security in place? Are you using the right apps? And all that. And then after your initial pilot testing, you can go and say, who's using it, how are they using it, is it being used well, and then you can reassign licensing if you need to, but gives you a good idea of what's happening. And then after a bit of time, you can see where it's mainly where all the fun's happening. And then after that, there's obviously more learning. So you're training your staff and other users on what else they can do with Copilot and extending it further. The sad news, so the Microsoft 365 developer program, you can no longer create a new tenant/subscription through this service. Any existing ones aren't affected for now, but this was a nice 25-seat E5 subscription, and you can do whatever you wanted to in there. I think the main problem was it had outbound email enabled, so they're kind of not wanting you to turn it into like a spam bot or anything like that, but it was very good because you could do everything you wanted to test in a sandbox, and it was fully functional. But I think they're moving down the path of you just purchase a single license and it gets converted to development or something like that. But yeah, it was nice. Okay, across Microsoft Learn, there is a current AI skills challenge that runs for the next 10 days. Went for a month. You've got 10 days to quickly jump on and smash it out. You will get a free exam code out of it at the end. So it's across AI, data, and whatnot. I'll have the links to register for it afterwards. There's a new exam readiness zone. So there's some videos and stuff on preparing for some of these exams, necessarily in AI space, but there's a lot of content on there outside of YouTube and all that. And there is a new certification exam experience. So they've finally given it a bit of a glow up after 10, 20 years. You have pretty colors. It's a lot more accessible. You can change stuff like the contrast and the dark mode, light mode. You can pause it more often. You can take breaks and all that stuff. They did introduce having access to Microsoft Learn a few months back.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, you could actually access Microsoft Learn, but it was not like the learning paths. It was full-blown documentation.
Really?
So it was dangerous because you could spend half your exam time looking stuff up and not finding it. So it's more of a you wait to the end of the exam and then you go, let's double check this. Yeah, that was a nice addition, but a bit of a distraction. Yeah, you have different filtering options now, so you can mark your questions and go back and suss them out afterwards. Gives you an idea of when they'll throw in the case studies at you and how many they'll have and whether there's labs. I still haven't counted a lab. I don't want to really. Actually, I think I did. I passed it. It was okay. And yeah, at the end, you can review questions that are answered, unanswered, tag for review and all that. Everything looks nicer. I encourage you to give it a go. There are some sandboxes you can go do like a mock exam, and it'll give you the kind of the layout and the terms and conditions and all that. So that should be live pretty soon, I believe. Right, I said students, but I meant more educators here. So Microsoft Learn for Educators was a thing that was created in 2020, and they've just given it more information and more resources now for your teachers and other educators there. So it's a random stat there from Engage Group. And yeah, just having more resources now. So like things like applied skills. So instead of taking an exam, you can do an assessment that's free online and timed. And you can, if you're an educator, you can assign that to your students and they can try and pass it. And it's kind of, it's that bridging point from your study to something that's more practical. And then once you pass that, you can do things like exams and get certifications. On that note, there is something called the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors Program. So this is an offshoot of the MVP program. Overview there. So you sign up for this if you are a student. I'm staring at half of you in the room here. You'll have access to a Discord server, I believe, and there are kind of tasks you can do in there. So the learning tasks, and then it goes down to things like presenting, attending user groups, and other stuff in your community. So if you do progress and you do a lot of stuff in the small community within your student lifetime, you might hit the lofty gold student ambassador on the right there, and they're getting just as much appreciation as MVP. So it does say there that you'll potentially become an MVP pretty easily if you've already shown and proven that you're doing that kind of work for the community. I will be, I'm interested in getting this more out there for the students in Adelaide as well. So Michelle Sanford is running what's known as a Microsoft Student Accelerator program. So it's different to the Ambassador program, but also focusing on getting students up to scratch with skills and knowledge and all that stuff as well. I am going to try and get that to come to Adelaide. It's currently run in Perth, Melbourne, and Auckland and Canberra.
It was run, I think, in the last 2 years once. Okay.
It was?
Yeah, I was part of that.
Oh.
I'll
hit you up afterwards.
I think it was run by somebody else who switched, but it was run, I remember, because I have the t-shirt for that.
All right, yeah. Well, it's more of a let's bring it back rather than bring it here. Cool, bunch of resources. I'll send these out. Necessarily need to look at them, but just stuff on Copilot mostly and AI. It's more for Daniel's user group, really. And then, speaking of user groups, there are 5 other local user groups. One of them, the Azure one, is kind of in a bit of a limbo right now. But these are all on the Meetup app. So if you have a look around, I'll send these out. Make sure to register and join them. I think only half of them are in person. The other half is sort of offline only or maybe hybrid. Then what's coming? I really messed up the order there. The BizApps launch event Thursday AM at 1 AM. So be sure to watch that if you haven't got enough out of our session today. We got things like community conference in Orlando, European Collab Summit, and then you got the Microsoft events. And there's also the Digital Workplace Conference. I did tease on the post yesterday that people that came in person will have early access to enter the competition to win conference tickets and award dinner. So after the session, I'll come around with the QR code and you can scan it. And after that, yes, there's the rest of the Microsoft events for the year. For the user group, we've got Mr. Ben Teo coming next month to cover change management. And then we'll have our friendly David Gardner come and present on DevOps for IT pros. H2 is looking a bit bare, so if anyone wants to present or request a topic, please use the QR form there. And yes, we've got December will be more of a joint event post Ignite, so try and make it a bigger event for the end of the year. So that's enough of me rambling. So today we've got Andrew Lee and Raga Padmanabhan. I'll get there eventually. So we'll cover essentially the BizApps 2024 release wave 1 updates. That's stuff across Power Platform and Dynamics 365. I'll pass it over to Andrew.
Okay, all good.
That works as well.
Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me okay online and in person, obviously. Thanks very much for inviting me. This is actually my first in-person presentation, I think probably since COVID, right? So this is going to be fun. It's really great to see people from all different industries and from university and so on today. So hopefully you'll learn a little bit today. I don't want to pepper you with slides. I want to show you a bit of demoware at the same time as well. So I'll try to keep it and try to explain as I go. So BizApps, business applications, I'm going to be focusing on Power Apps and the Power Platform. Raga is going to be focusing primarily on the Dynamics 365 stack. But together they form what is known as the business application stack, and that is the stack for enterprise solutions. Okay, so with that, I'll get straight into it, and we'll talk about what's coming in April, which is about now. So Microsoft have completely revamped the way you can create apps directly in the Power Platform today. So they've created a new modern unified interface, really a landing place for you to actually start creating really quickly. So there's a very prominent entry point, and it's a dedicated space where you could actually use technology like Copilot to help you create. And it's really optimized. We used to talk about low code first, right? The language has shifted from a Microsoft perspective. It's more low code and code together. So for the more experienced makers, we want to be able to get stuff done really, really quickly. And I'll show you what that looks like. So excuse the potato image quality over here. This is the best I can get before the menu. But on the left-hand side is what the experience looks like today. What do you want to actually create? You want to create a table? Do you want to create an app? Do you want to create something from Excel? So on. Right, on the right-hand side, they've completely revamped it, and you can see on there more prominence put towards, app creation. So do you want to create an app from scratch? Do I want to ask Copilot to create an app for me, or do I want to actually create an app from a template? What are the most commonly used apps in a workplace, in a university, in the non-for-profit sector, for instance, right? And you can select and create. So one of the things that you can do is you can actually use generative AI to build you an application for it. So I can say collect RSVPs for this user group sessions today. So I'm going to ask it to build it, and it's going to recommend me a data schema. So here I've got RSVP ID, I've got the name, I've got the email address, phone numbers and so on. But hang on, I'm missing something. some people are virtual and some of the people who have joined us online have probably dialed in from other states. So I want to add a state field to it. So how would I go about doing that? So I could just ask it to say, add a column for state. So it's going to go ahead, it's going to work on it for a few seconds, and then it's going to pop that information directly into our data schema with some dummy data in there. So you can see what it looks like. So we've got our table set up now. It's time to actually create our app. So next step, it's a wizard-based process. So you click create an app, it'll go ahead and it will generate an app for you. And then, just click skip that, right? It doesn't look half bad, right? There's a navigation control on the left-hand side that shows you all your data. There's form elements on the right-hand side, and you can actually ask it generatively to add a button on the form for me or add another field, and it'll go ahead and do that. So we've actually gone from low code to no code by just actually telling it what you want to do, right? And so that's how the Infusing Copilot and our apps. So that's one thing that they're doing. The next thing that they're doing is they're starting to light up your data using Copilot Sidecar. So what Sidecar allows you to do is it actually it tried to try to determine, based on your usage and based on what you typically want to do, what sort of information should I bring forward to you, or how do you want me to actually action it? So it could do that using what's known as Copilot Sidecar. And you can begin with a set of starter questions. So you use the studio and you actually have like a chat bot. You basically define your own questions and you give it their own responses, and it will go ahead and enact that. And it also has the ability to reference data as well. And that's the most important thing. So most of the AI that you see on their open language, large language models actually uses open data. This is actually using your data, okay? And it just stays with you and nowhere else. And so if you're using Power Apps today, if you guys are or not, but if you're actually using it, you don't get it on by default. You actually have to go to the preview, the settings feature. You need to enable Copilot. It is the preview feature for now, so don't put it in your production deployments. And then once you've actually got that enabled, you can actually see on the right-hand side, I'm going to click Open Copilot. I'm going to say navigate to accounts. It's going to actually go into my data, navigate to the account form. I can say navigate to whatever contacts and so on. I can get it to actually, I don't know all the prompts to be honest, but there are a few prompts, and it is still always learning. So it is still sort of in its crawling phases. It's going to get to a phase where you'll be able to run with this, but I'll just forewarn in preview, it's not quite there, but that gives you a bit of a glimpse of where Microsoft is taking this technology with Power Platform and the broader Dynamics 365 in the next 2 months, that sort of thing. Next, what are they doing around helping you fill out those darn forms? Now, forms have so much data in there. They're actually building a new enhanced form experience, right? So based on how you're actually entering data, it's going to try to predetermine what sort of information it will pre-fill on your form. And it gives you the option and the user control to either accept those suggestions or reject those suggestions, right? Which is very important because you don't want it just to pre-fill a whole bunch of information without me eyeballing it. So they've improved the user experience, and I'll give you a glimpse of what this looks like with the pre-fill experience. So I've got a straight up form over here. I've started with a name, Hannah Jarvis, and it's made a whole bunch of recommendations based on maybe some information that they know about Hannah in the system. So it's actually gone ahead and pre-filled it. There is the ability there to say accept or decline. So that's what those checkboxes are. And you can say, yes, I'm happy with all of that information. And then you can go save that. So go ahead, you got a question?
Is there any way to restrict the data it has access to? For example, I have 2 Excel sheets. One of them is data for all councils and one of them is data for just a particular council. Obviously, if I mix those 2 together, the trends may get jumbled up.
Yeah.
Is there a way that I can restrict it to only one particular Excel? And similarly, for this form suggestions, is there a way, more importantly, I can hide my personal details, like more private details that I don't want it to even, estimate because stuff.
That's a great question. And here's a prize for you, mate. There you go. Thank you. It's squishy. So question is, how much security do I have over my data, and will it appear inside? And this opens up broader questions for Microsoft around large language models. But in theory, what happens in Power Apps is this information is stored within the database backend for Power Apps, and that database backend is the Dataverse. So it's not sourcing your information from Excel. If you want your information, you need to import your information from Excel into the database so it can secure that information. So it can't be uncontrolled information right now, right? They may implement that with other products like Graph and Microsoft Graph and so on, where it scours your entire internet for information. So that's an area that I have expertise in. But for Power Apps specifically, they're information that is based on your usage and data that you already have rights to access. So me as Andrew, I've come in as this particular persona. I can only see maybe records that are in my personal security groups. This is a very well thought out security model that they've had for years and years and years, right? So it's not doing anything different to sort of circumvent that.
Is there a way to, so right now, I'm sorry, I might get this wrong. So whatever I want the Copilot to be done, for now, it's restricted to an Excel sheet that I uploaded or I give it access to. Is there a way I can integrate it to cloud, Google Analytics, say, for example, or my Azure data blobs? So it can, so that part of the interfacing can directly capture real life data. And then the app can kind of then have an MVC structure instead of a fixed database.
Yeah.
The database can be a blob which gets updated. Yeah,
I'll do it slightly differently. I would use the inbuilt connector ecosystem to secure, and then apply data security rules, or what's known as data loss prevention rules, over those connectors. And so whoever's actually utilizing those connectors will have to adhere to whatever the corporate policies are around that. But I mean, we can go into a lot of detail around how you could do the architecture around that as well. Yep.
These suggestions actually coming from the data that's contained in that app. So for example, you have annual revenue or something like business type.
I believe so. Now, I might not be 100% correct in this, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But my understanding is some of this information is coming from your data sets. So in this case, it might be the accounts table, but some of it is also commonly used functions. So if you're using a lookup repeatedly throughout the day, and those lookups are like business type, partnership and so on, it will pre-fill to what you normally use. So it uses pattern of behavior. So it must be using some sort of telemetry of how you're actually using the product as well. So maybe not necessarily all of them are coming from your data set. I'll say most of it is probably coming from user behavior.
It's like a new look to like recent, you know, how it's like your recent.
Yeah, like Chrome or something like that. All right, just let me admit this person. And now I've got a bit to get through, so I'm gonna keep going through this. So using Copilot to build your apps for you, right? So you saw a little bit of that before when I actually asked it to build something, but you can actually take that a little bit further as well. So you can actually use natural language commands to actually instruct it to build you interfaces, right? So, and this is great for me because I'm not really a great front end designer. I don't really consider myself an artistic type, but it allows you to quickly execute those tasks just by actually reading those tasks out. And some of the prompts that you're going to start to see within the maker experience are add a button to my header, change the container to center align, make this bold, and so on and so forth. I'm sure all of this can be done, really quickly by a few keystrokes, but it is actually good to see where Copilot is going with this, right? Next. For those of you who do a lot more back-endy stuff and not necessarily front-end stuff, this is something that I really like, especially, maybe I get excited about this, you might not necessarily do, but SQL Server, your programming logic can now exist within SQL Server as stored procedures, and you can use the front-end apps to call those stored procedures directly, right? And why would you want to do this? One, you make it completely seamless. All of your logic can live inside your database server, and also it is fast. like fast. So it's very optimized for performance. You don't get a performance hit because you don't actually have to go and run that logic inside the Power Platform. You're doing it directly in SQL. And to give you an example, I've created a pet database in SQL where I keep all of my pets. And I've also created a stored procedure in SQL. Now, this is all running in Azure SQL. And now, from your Maker experience, you need to firstly enable functionality because it's a preview functionality. So like before, you need to enable this in the upcoming features tab. Once you've got that enabled, you add your data source, select the SQL Server data source, and then we'll go ahead and we'll supply it with a Azure SQL database name, so on. And then once we've connected that information up, we can include the table, but you can see the new tab, also the stored procedure. Lovely. And you need to say that it's actually safe to use within your galleries. Galleries are like lists in Power Apps. So I'm going to go ahead and you can see I've added a gallery, but now I can actually use the power of IntelliSense, and it actually knows that there's a stored procedure behind that. And this is where I'm just letting you know, if you're using this functionality, it doesn't type check. That's why I'm getting an error on the form. All right. It's expecting a collection of records to come back, but I've asked it to give me a static value saying how many pets do I have. Right. So that's not going to work for a list. So that's one caveat when using SQL Server stored procedure, and something that Microsoft does know about, and it is on their roadmap to fix and give us more options to error trap, error handle, and all that cool stuff. But you can see the potential of this. It's very, very easy to use. Now, moving on, if you're building model-driven data apps, there is a new look and feel or a new user interface coming to 2024 April. And so this will be the default experience going forward. Right now, you need to toggle it on to see it, but it actually has enhanced styling, and it's based on the Microsoft Fluent Design language system. And that's what's used in all modern Microsoft apps, whether it's Office 365 through to Power Apps. And that's for more for familiarity. People like to use stuff if it's familiar to them. So I'll show you what that looks like right now as well. So what this looks like is that's the old look and feel. If I click the new look, it should appear on everyone's instance. You can see a lot of those boxes are more bounded. The data inputs are now shaded, and that actually gives us a bit of degree of segregation and is more form-like. A lot of the iconography is a lot better, and the business process ribbon has been revamped. You'll expect to see a few more changes that are coming between now and, let's just say, October, right? But this is the new look and feel for model-driven apps, which is, I think, is pretty cool. Okay, so how do you actually get all of this new releases? Now, I think on an annual basis, Microsoft released maybe 800-900 new features into the Power Platform, and that's just the Power Platform, excluding Dynamics 365. But you don't necessarily have to wait 2 times a year to get that. So you normally get that in April and October. You get these biannual releases. So they're gradually going to transition everyone to monthly updates, right? Which has a lot of implications around that. So right now, you need to be able to have control over when you take your updates. So they've got this this option called auto. It's a release channel option. So for people who have existing environments, legacy environments, if you've got your setting to auto, you're still going to be on twice yearly updates. And then unless you actually nominate that you actually want to go to monthly updates. But for all new environments, they will be monthly going forward. And so you can see how and what the interesting thing is, it's on a per app basis. So you can choose to actually have your updates applied on a per app basis, which I'm still trying to understand the logic behind, but I'm going to take it anyway as a win. So you can see that was auto, and I've switched that to a monthly channel release. And it's simple as that. That's how you go from twice yearly updates to the monthly updates. And that means that you're going to get the benefits of all of the new features that Microsoft put in much more frequently. But it also means there's a lot more change management if you've got big deployments out there in the wild already. So just keep that in mind, partners. And then now this is probably for the old timers like myself who had to deal with the security role system in CRM or Dynamics 365 for probably about 15 years now. It hasn't changed essentially, and Microsoft have heard that, and they've actually created a new security role designer directly in the administration system, right? So there's a new panel, there's new ability to actually create a security role, but then in the matrix, and you'll see that in a moment anyway, I'll just show it to you. But to be able to say, I want to secure this particular information to these particular apps and so on. So by making it easier, it actually streamlines your security as well. So here's an example. If I go to environments, this is on a preview environment here. I can create a new role. I can nominate which business unit this role belongs to, and then I can go ahead and save it. And this is where the new functionality comes up. You can see that the matrix gets displayed right there, and it's very easy to toggle that information, right? Not just tables, but also particular privileges, the ability to execute flows, the ability to run actions and so on. We can secure that as well through here. And so this security, as I think people will start to call it now, will start to grow over time. And it's already got a quite powerful security model inside, but just making it a lot more accessible to most people who are administering a CRM system. So with that, look, thanks for having me here today. I didn't do a proper introduction before, so I'm Andrew Lee. You can find me on LinkedIn. I've been a Microsoft MVP since 2016, a fast track recognized solution architect since 2019, and I'm on socials and all that sort of good stuff. So yeah, thanks. I might hand over to Raga to give us a what's due in Dynamics 365. Thanks.
Hopefully we have a mix of audience, students as well as professional. I'll try to keep it low level as I can because I prepared it to the general context. So yeah. So there is a separate meetup group run by Daniel. He was there. I think too much has been discussed on the Copilot, but this is like the Copilot homepage. So whenever you start the sales hub, you're going to have like what are the activities you are doing, what are the things that has been shared. So it's much on the Copilot. I'm not going to much emphasis on this one. So email assistant, this is pretty much from your graduation days, like the student, like you want some assistant, like currently I think Grammarly or something people are using, but when you go to the professional area, something like Microsoft came with this Copilot assistant. So if you're drafting a case or you're say like you're apologizing a customer or you're going to send them like these are your 10 invoices, you want to summarize those things. So now Copilot can do that within your data and give those data, and all you're going to say is like do the drafting. So it's a co-pilot. People don't really get the word. It's a co-pilot. It's not a pilot. So you need to. There's that even I, when I regenerated the data, I see like, okay, I want to summarize these 10 points. It gave me the 10 point, but this is not what I really want. Two has been like differentiated. So it's a co-pilot. You need to really see that summary and then say like copy and then paste the thing. That's a good one, because when some people are in some other apps, not this one, but you have the insert option, you just insert it, but then you send it, but then you don't know what you sent. Then you review, just like, no, this is not what I want. So here, this copy paste is really good.
Yeah. In case of email change, is it able to remember the context of the email chain?
Context in the sense like?
So for example, there's an email chain going on. So it's like 4 or 5 emails,
yeah,
and I want to summarize kind of if we are dealing with a particular customer.
It remembers in the note line. It's a different business entity altogether, but yeah, it remembers. So I'll go through this scenario in a kind of non-profit context. So currently you have a customer support, you have your marketing agency, and you have different email boxes. And a customer, sometimes if people are not responding, you have a limited staff, they tend to send email to all the email boxes, not just one. So what happens with the current new feature is like if people are sending multiple email to multiple email boxes, separate cases are created and tracked in CRM. Currently, I think I'm not sure currently how it works. There has been some enhancement missing, but I think Microsoft has fixed and enhanced. And if you are sending multiple emails to the multiple email box within your organization, it's not going to get tracked under different cases. Maybe there will be a parent case too, but yeah, that is sorted out, and this is a really good one, because what ideally happens is like those multiple cases, it's not like related to the same issue. It could be different queues, some related to the marketing, some could be related to a different A team, B team, C team. All the teams can work on their separate cases and they can respond it. So that's a really a great feature to add in within the April release, I believe so. This I tried to do a demo, but I think some office settings and premium and all those features. But the thing is, like, if I have I'll again go with a non-profit thing. I have an proposal or say construction site revamp, and I got the proposals from different people. So all those data are stored in the document. But if I'm going to present it to the meetups or meeting group within my organization, all I'm going to do is bring those data from my CRM or from my project management tool to the document, and you can do that in Copilot. So it now understand, but what current people do is like it's more of a copy-paste work, and we might miss those things, but it's more of a blending kind of a thing. Yeah.
I'm a bit confused how it's segregating the data which it requires. Like for us, it's like talking
Because
about
you're going to instruct them, right?
so you need
I'm not going to
construct
say like bring me all the data. Say you have a document with a lot of data or tabular column. So, but we need to first understand what Copilot does and ask the right questions and give the right prompts. Yeah. So in CRM, say like Hasi was telling, like in 15 years, we don't have this feature. This is a good one. So where I can relate an activity to a different activities or different records. So here, if I am seeing like the related records, so I'm able to relate to a multiple records within CRM. So this is really a great feature.
That's new, is it?
Yeah, that's new.
actually it's like a
Yeah.
Is it gonna go
That's
with
interesting.
highlights?
Because what happens is like I have an email and it's attached to an account. So say an email from a customer, it's attached to one account. Then I think if I want to attach to a case, and then if I want to attach to some custom other entities and other things, now I think we have the feature to do that. Yeah.
it was just labels.
It's a universal feature. Currently, what happens is like if I want to attach to multiple entities, the ideal way is like we create multiple activities against each entities and track it under some sector, or we have custom Power BI report. That's the last thing I remember. But I think this is a one email. It's getting attached
That
to the
makes
different.
sense. Yeah, this is good.
This is really a good one. Volume and agent forecasting in the customer service of Dynamic CRM 365. Say I have volume of calls coming, say after my New Year celebrations or before Christmas or before St. Patrick's Day, something, a data is there. You know it, but when you do the forecast, right, whenever we are seeing the red is the real data and the blue ones are the forecasted data. So you will be able to forecast like what volume I would be getting. This is a AA forecast, like between the day, like intraday, I can focus like within the next weeks, I can expect this many volumes call should be coming, or even between the day, like maybe in the morning, having too many calls, or in the night having too many calls. So I'll be able to forecast these details. So what happens with this, like I can do like agent forecasting, like I need more agents in the morning or in the night shift and all those things, like, yeah. Leave planner.
It's kind of a estimation for your future, right?
Estimation for a future from the customer service manager or thing, yeah.
That's good. You're going to be aware of what kind of volume you're going to get in the next few days, right?
Yeah, volume as well as you need the agents to support to how many agents I'm supporting, yeah. The email deduplication. Okay, so so there's a duplication, deduplication. I'm just thinking like, yeah, this is really a good one. I'm just trying to, because too many of the similar thing, duplication is there too. So in your CRM records, right, you have account contacts and leads. You might need to campaign to a customer about the same thing. Maybe you have a customer as a customer as well as a vendor or different names. So if I have like 3 email IDs in your CRM system which are duplicate, you might be sending 3 or 4 emails to them. So this duplication avoids them, like you don't send the same email to the customer. So that kind of a marketing has been enabled. Yeah. This is more of a lead qualification. I would skip that. It's too much on the. Okay, Microsoft Teams and field service. So there is a tool called as field service. So I'll keep it like say SA Water is there, or you have a utility sector, energy sector. People go and inspect the areas and they generate a report of inspection. Like these are the things I need to then create a work order. Like I'm going to fix these things. So that's how the field service tools are being used. So this field service tool now can integrate with Teams. So for example, I'm going and working on a work order. Like say example, I'll take an use case story where we have say charging stations are there. The charging station is corrupted or it's not charging Tesla car or it's not. So inspection manager or a field service executive comes and inspects it, and he says like he needs some additional details from his organization. He can do a Teams chat over his app through Microsoft Teams, and so all those things can happen now.
Is it like a Jira ticket that he updates, or
Kind of it, but it's not Jira. I would say Jira is more of an incident management thing, which I recognize. But field service more of a construction or project. I wouldn't say project management. More of like you inspect something and then do a booking, and you need to have some executives come in and do the thing. Yeah.
Is it a kind of a user story by any chance?
It's a user story. I'm trying to put a field because I'm putting to more of a student person, like what is field service? Like you go to the field and do a service. Yeah.
An example would be think of an organisation with a lot of plumbers and sending them out to work on a series of jobs over the course of the day. So, and that's the sort of examples that I've helped build before is a workforce that need to go out on site, do work, and being able to do a series of jobs over the course of a day.
You mentioned that you've seen a technician come out. Like if you've ever seen a technician come out at home and they do the job and then they fill it in and then they look up their next job.
Yep.
That's field service.
Work on tablets and mobile, or is it just exclusively the web?
It should be in mobile mostly. Field service apps on desktop, but that's on mobile too. Yeah, mobile is their main thing, and with offline capability here.
Oh, really?
No, it should be an offline too.
Yeah.
You should have your work orders even you are not connected to the network. Mostly, that's how I come up with business. This is more again the marketing. I will skip this slide. This is a marketing, but email send scheduling. So currently in D365, if I want to schedule an email, I can do that now. Like send this email at Monday morning or send this email at Friday evening. I can schedule, I can do all the stuff and put a date and schedule it. Then reach the customer at the scheduled time. Yeah. That I can do now.
Does it also give reports about the email failures and stuff? Or
It will be there. Yeah, it will be there. So there's a customer service admin center app. So this is more of a running the health check, like your deployment solution. And if there are any issues in Power Automates, I think they come up with a separate app for it. Yeah. Too much of information, I would say. Yeah, so I'm given the links for like, because each chunks has a lot of information, so I've given the links, and there are some depreciations too. So how do you switch on a sales Copilot? I just made it like, what are the things you need to switch it on for enabling a Copilot to work? So if you understand the sales and marketing thing, so you have something called an opportunity summary in Copilot. Give me a summary of opportunity. If I'm going to say it's going to summarize a few parameters within my data and give it. But what data you want me to summarize, that we can do this in settings like give me about estimated revenue, give me about the proposed solution, all those things I'm good. Just we can configure here. So this is the summary I was saying, like here's an opportunity summary of the cafe. So where Microsoft is a new customer, give me a summary of all the details in the Copilot view. So say there was a last data where estimate to close by 10/27. What happens in the sales scenarios? Like you have an estimated close date and actual close date. I can ask a Copilot saying like, give me all the opportunities I need to follow where estimated close date is having in next 2 weeks, means it will summarize all the opportunities where I need to concentrate. So I can do that now. It's more of a depreciation thing like omni-channel for customer services is depreciated. Microsoft Power BI templates also getting depreciated.
What's replacing omni-channel for customer service on USD? Oh, because USD is going away.
I think
USD. Omni-channel's not going away. USD's not going away. Yeah, right. Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, that's mostly from my side.
A quick question, Raga, regarding summarizing your report, which you just showed me on the previous slide. Like, how's the accuracy level for that? Like, will that be like very, very accurate, or like, do we need to like modify?
It will be accurate. It's based on your data. The thing is like, if you consider, say I'm a say coffee vending machine owner, my sales agent, yeah, my sales agent has different coffee machines running. I need to sell the coffee machines to the different customer. I have say 20 or 30 opportunities where I need to sell within different branches in Adelaide, right?
Sure.
That's my data. So my data sits in the CRM, but the problem is all those data will be having a lot of other columns and fields. So if I'm just thinking like, okay, give me the say like what to say, like I can focus say like whichever the opportunities near North Adelaide, something like if I'm on those data needs to reside in my CRM, like within the address details or something. So that's what it makes. Your data is mostly precise. So Copilot works on top of the data.
Sure.
But how currently they are working is you need to have views now. You need to have a view saying my open opportunities based on data column. But these are all not natural language. It's like you need to go and do some clicks. But nowadays you can just ask the data and yeah, the system uses the natural language and get back those details. Yeah.
Got it. Very nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Just a random thing with the new look, business recommended is going away because we had a client lose their minds about it not
It's
being.
going away. Business recommended's gone. So it's just either mandatory or not.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
shit, I didn't even see
literally
that.
lost their mind over it. So if you have any sensitive clients.
Oh, right, okay. Good, that's good to know. I didn't know that. There you go.
Which one? The,
Business recommended.
okay.
Yeah.
Gone.
Hopefully they'll replace it with something.
It's gone.
No, it's gone now.
They had like a little blurb being like, oh, it's not really like.
It's not really used anyway, to be honest.
You'd think
No.
that again, we had someone lose their mind over it. Like
Oh.
literally we're like, turn it off, bring it back. We don't approve this. And I was
Oh.
like, oh,
Oh, okay.
damn.
And it's hard when you're trying to move forward as a company like
Yeah.
Microsoft are managing this, but we've still got millions of customers. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a similar uproar when 2016 became D365 Online. Because some of those icons disappeared for a period during the transition,
Mm.
and exactly the same issue.
Oh,
Not many customers use it, but when they do use it, it's a
People
problem.
don't like the infinite scroll in the view as well.
Yeah,
Some people really don't like that. They like
for
the-
pages
Yeah.
and the letters to being able to bounce through the views. Yeah, seen that too.
They are doing this release in the April, but what happens within my experience in the go live is like, once it gone live, you think like you do a checklist, like these are the things you need to notify your customer and be prepared. But mostly it will be the out of syllabus, like it could be your CAD settings or something like after something has gone live, this is not being thought of, like,
Yeah.
It's always there.
Oh, and you can't have themes anymore either.
Oh, shit.
You can't have themes.
No.
Not the way, they're like, I think they're replacing it with something different.
Oh, they've got a,
They're changing the location of it, so it's
But all our
painful.
themes got wiped when they changed it to the new look, so the banners were all.
Yeah, it
same
doesn't
colour.
support the themes fully yet.
Yeah,
yeah.
Again,
that was interesting, and everything suddenly looked like my prod environment.
Exactly. That's so people ask me like most of the customers, like I had customers who like everything was good, but they want the theme to be in pink color. Pink. So that's one kind, but
Fair.
really how the developers we use it, like I generally go with my developers theme as like blue or something, then your pre-production as green,
Yeah.
and then production, yeah, we don't have control, mostly it's blue or, but then like as a color coding, right, you're working in dev.
Yeah.
And people think like, why do you mix it up? Because we don't just work with one org and one environment, like this is my dev, but it's the multiple projects you're running. The confusion is that.
actually, that was a couple of previews. I don't know if I saw them in your list there, Andrew. Things like default solutions, being able to select in Power Apps your default solution, so everything falls into a solution. So,
I didn't catch that one either.
yeah, that
Yeah, right.
one that I saw that's coming up that I like.
Yeah.
Something else was being able to stop unmanaged changes in things like production environments.
Yeah, that's it. They can.
So that's a preview as well. So being able to stop people making changes where they shouldn't and enforcing solution deployments.
I'd even do UAT, eh?
Sorry?
I'd even tick that box in UAT.
Yeah. UAT, test environments,
Yeah,
anywhere that's not production, not dev.
anyway, the client has access to, right?
That's a good one. Like it changes upon different projects. Like there is one project where you have a big release yearly once or quarterly once. Then there was another one of my project where a customer BA can also do a managed solution or unmanaged and work, because they're a small managed business. Exactly for those things people work like, don't do this, because he comes and does something and goes in 6 months. But you're being a partner, you don't have a control over your thing. Then yeah, while migrating or all those things, you have the challenges.
We should do a session on like application lifecycle management
Yeah.
one time, just for people who are like really interested in that.
Especially now that
That'd be a
we've
good
got
topic.
some.
See you in July.
Well, maybe not me. That could be Charles.
And it's definitely one near and dear to my heart on simple ALM for
Yeah.
customers and people like some of the other people we're talking to here at the moment, that just getting some of those good habits of don't just change into production environments, follow the process. And Microsoft's giving us lots of good tools to do that now. So, and really simple tools.
And the
as well.
messaging has changed quite a lot recently, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things that you can do now you couldn't do before.
Absolutely. And trying to keep it simple and easy for everyone in the process, which is fantastic.
Love it.
Your little spiel.
Raga, do you want to do a quick shout out,
Yeah.
self plug?
So that's my LinkedIn profile QR, and yeah, I've been in this CRM for almost 15 plus years. So dynamic CRM and yeah, Microsoft space.
Sweet as. Well, there's our sponsor, Brett Moffat, who is not here at the moment. He's attending the Plan concert tonight. I think they're in town.
Who?
Simple Plan.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Stematech, feel free to reach out to him. He does some consulting work as well. And feedback that link apparently. For those that are in the room still, I've got a QR code on my phone. So if you want to enter the draw for the Digital Workplace Conference, come round. Also feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. The students, if you want to hang around for a bit and just quickly go over the stuff I mentioned earlier about the accelerator or the ambassador program, that'd be cool. But for everyone else, thanks for coming. Thanks for speakers, Andrew and Raga. And I hope to see you guys again next month. I believe it's the 6th of May. That'll be a change management session. So good stuff.
Sure.
All right. I'm gonna wave people online. Camera play.
See you guys. Thank you.
Wouldn't say anything, so bye.
Bye.